Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to explore a subject that is desperately needed in our fast-paced world: how to become a relaxed woman. Many women are carrying invisible burdens. They are managing careers, families, relationships, expectations, and responsibilities. Society often celebrates the woman who is constantly busy, constantly rushing, and constantly sacrificing herself. Yet being overwhelmed is not a badge of honor. A relaxed woman is not a lazy woman. She is a woman who has learned the art of governing her mind, managing her emotions, and living from a place of purpose rather than pressure. She understands that peace is not something found outside of her. It is something cultivated within her. Today, we will discover the principles that can transform stress into strength, anxiety into confidence, and chaos into calmness. Many women have been taught to believe that strength looks like constant movement, endless sacrifice, and carrying every burden without complaint. Society often celebrates the woman who never stops, never rests, and never shows signs of weariness. Yet this definition of strength is incomplete. True strength is not found in constant tension. It is found in the ability to remain calm while carrying responsibility. A relaxed woman is not weak. In fact, she possesses a level of strength that many people never develop. When a woman is relaxed, it does not mean she lacks ambition. It does not mean she has abandoned her dreams or responsibilities. It simply means she has learned how to operate from a place of peace rather than pressure. She understands that panic does not improve performance, worry does not create solutions, and anxiety does not produce wisdom. She has discovered that a calm mind can accomplish more than a troubled mind. Consider the difference between a stormy ocean and a calm one. When the waters are disturbed, it becomes difficult to see beneath the surface. But when the waters are still, clarity emerges. The same principle applies to the human mind. A woman who is constantly overwhelmed often struggles to think clearly, make wise decisions, and respond effectively to challenges. However, a relaxed woman can evaluate situations with greater understanding because her emotions are not controlling her judgment. One of the greatest misconceptions in life is the belief that stress is evidence of importance. Some people wear stress like a badge of honor. They believe that being exhausted proves they are productive. They think being overwhelmed demonstrates commitment. But exhaustion is not always a sign of effectiveness. Many people are busy without being productive. Many are active without being purposeful. A relaxed woman understands this truth. She knows that activity and accomplishment are not the same thing. The strongest woman in the room is often not the loudest, the busiest, or the most frantic. Often, the strongest woman is the one who remains composed when everyone else is losing control. She is the one who can think clearly during uncertainty. She is the one who refuses to allow fear to dictate her actions. While others are reacting emotionally, she is responding wisely. This kind of stability is not weakness. It is evidence of maturity and inner strength. Life will always present challenges. There will be unexpected disappointments, difficult relationships, financial pressures, and moments of uncertainty. No woman is exempt from these realities. The difference is not whether problems appear. The difference is how those problems are handled. A relaxed woman does not deny difficulties. She simply refuses to allow difficulties to dominate her spirit. She understands that every challenge deserves attention, but not every challenge deserves her peace. Many women spend years trying to control everything around them. They try to control people's opinions, outcomes, circumstances, and situations. Eventually, they discover that much of their stress comes from fighting battles they were never meant to fight. Wisdom teaches a woman to focus on what she can influence and release what she cannot. This decision alone removes enormous pressure from her life. A relaxed woman also understands her value. Because she knows who she is not constantly seeking approval from others. She does not exhaust herself trying to meet every expectation. She is secure enough to make decisions based on conviction rather than public opinion. This confidence creates emotional stability. When a woman stops living for validation, she gains freedom. And freedom produces peace. There is tremendous power in calmness. Calmness allows better judgment. Calmness improves relationships. Calmness enhances leadership. Calmness strengthens communication. A woman who remains relaxed in difficult moments becomes a source of confidence for others. People naturally trust those who demonstrate stability because stability creates security. The truth is that relaxation is not the absence of responsibility. It is the mastery of responsibility. It is learning how to carry life's demands without allowing them to carry you. It is understanding that your greatest asset is not your ability to work harder than everyone else, but your ability to remain balanced while pursuing your purpose. Every woman should remember this powerful truth. You do not become stronger by living in constant tension. You become stronger by developing the ability to remain peaceful in the middle of pressure. Real strength is not measured by how much stress you can endure. Real strength is measured by how much peace you can maintain while fulfilling your assignment in life. A relaxed woman is not weak, passive, or indifferent. She is disciplined, self-aware, emotionally mature, and deeply powerful. Her calmness is not a sign of surrender. It is evidence that she has learned to govern herself. And a woman who can govern herself possesses one of the greatest forms of strength in the world. One of the greatest misconceptions of modern life is the belief that a woman's value is determined by how busy she is. Many women wake up every day carrying an invisible pressure to prove their worth through constant activity. They feel compelled to fill every moment with work, responsibilities, obligations, and commitments. If they are not doing something, they feel guilty. If they take time to rest, they feel unproductive. If they slow down, they fear they will be judged as lazy or unsuccessful. As a result, countless women spend their lives exhausted, not because they lack strength, but because they have accepted a false definition of value. A woman's worth has never been connected to the number of tasks she completes. Her value does not increase because she works longer hours. Her importance is not measured by how many people depend on her. Neither is her significance determined by how much she sacrifices herself for everyone around her. Value is not something earned through endless activity. Value is something inherent. It exists before achievement, before recognition, and before accomplishment. Every woman desires peace, yet many spend their lives searching for it in places where it cannot be found. Some believe peace will come when their circumstances improve. Others think it will arrive when they achieve a certain goal, earn more money, find the right relationship, receive recognition, or finally gain control over every area of life. While these things may bring temporary satisfaction, they cannot create lasting peace. True peace begins within. It starts with self-awareness. Many people know a great deal about others, but very little about themselves. They can identify the strengths and weaknesses of friends, family members, and colleagues, yet they have never taken the time to understand their own emotions, thoughts, habits, fears, and motivations. As a result, they often live reactively instead of intentionally. They are controlled by emotions they do not understand and influenced by patterns they have never examined. A relaxed woman begins her journey by developing self-awareness. She understands that before she can effectively manage her life, she must first understand herself. She pays attention to what energizes her, what drains her, what inspires her, and what creates unnecessary stress. She becomes a student of her own mind and emotions because she knows that awareness is the foundation of growth. Many women experience frustration because they are constantly responding to life without understanding why they react the way they do. A small criticism ruins their entire day. An unexpected delay causes overwhelming anxiety. A disagreement leaves them emotionally exhausted. These reactions often have deeper roots than the immediate situation. Self-awareness helps a woman identify those roots. When a woman becomes aware of her emotional patterns, she gains power over them. Instead of being controlled by anger, fear, insecurity, or anxiety, she begins to understand where these emotions come from and how they influence her decisions. Awareness transforms emotional reactions into intentional responses. It creates space between what happens and how she chooses to respond. One of the greatest benefits of self-awareness is that it helps a woman distinguish between reality and perception. Many people suffer not because of what is happening, but because of the story they are telling themselves about what is happening. A delayed response to a message becomes rejection. A constructive suggestion becomes personal criticism. A temporary setback becomes evidence of failure. When a woman lacks self-awareness, these interpretations can create unnecessary stress. However, a self-aware woman learns to question her assumptions. She examines her thoughts instead of automatically accepting them as truth. She recognizes that not every feeling reflects reality. She understands that emotions are valuable indicators, but they are not always accurate guides. This wisdom protects her from many unnecessary struggles. Self-awareness also helps a woman recognize her limits. One reason so many women become overwhelmed is because they refuse to acknowledge that they are human. They try to meet every expectation, solve every problem, and satisfy every demand. Eventually, they become exhausted because they are living beyond their emotional, physical, and mental capacity. A self-aware woman understands that limitations are not weaknesses. They are realities that must be respected. She knows when she needs rest. She knows when she needs support. She knows when she needs to step back and recharge. Because she understands herself, she is able to make healthier decisions that preserve her well-being. Another important aspect of self-awareness is recognizing personal strengths. Many women spend so much time focusing on their shortcomings that they fail to appreciate their abilities. They compare themselves to others and become discouraged because they are concentrating on what they lack instead of developing what they possess. A self-aware woman recognizes both her strengths and her weaknesses. She does not deny either one. She understands that confidence grows when a person accepts themselves honestly. She embraces her unique gifts without arrogance and acknowledges areas for growth without shame. This balanced perspective creates emotional stability and inner peace. Self-awareness also improves relationships. When a woman understands herself, she communicates more effectively. She becomes less defensive because she is not constantly trying to protect an insecure identity. She listens more carefully because she is not always focused on proving herself. She is able to express her needs clearly because she understands what those needs actually are. Many conflicts occur because people expect others to understand feelings they have never taken the time to understand themselves. A self-aware woman avoids this trap. She takes responsibility for her emotional health and communicates with greater clarity and wisdom. Perhaps the greatest gift of self-awareness is freedom. Freedom from pretending, freedom from comparison, freedom from unrealistic expectations, freedom from living according to someone else's definition of success. When a woman understands who she is, she no longer feels pressured to imitate everyone around her. She becomes comfortable in her own identity. Peace does not begin when circumstances become perfect. Life will always contain challenges, uncertainties, and unexpected changes. Peace begins when a woman develops a clear understanding of herself. The more she understands her thoughts, emotions, strengths, weaknesses, values, and purpose, the less vulnerable she becomes to external pressures. A relaxed woman is not simply a woman whose environment is calm. She is a woman whose inner world is healthy and balanced. She has learned to understand herself, manage herself, and lead herself. This is why self-awareness is so powerful. It is the doorway to emotional maturity, wise decision-making, healthy relationships, and lasting peace. When a woman truly knows herself, she gains the ability to navigate life with confidence, stability, and grace, regardless of what is happening around her. Many women spend years trying to justify their existence through performance. They believe they must constantly prove themselves to family, friends, colleagues, and society. This mindset creates a dangerous cycle. The more they accomplish, the more they feel obligated to accomplish. The more they achieve, the more expectations are placed upon them. Eventually, they become trapped in a lifestyle where they are constantly doing but rarely experiencing peace. The truth is that being busy and being productive are not the same thing. A person can be occupied every hour of the day and still make little progress toward what truly matters. Activity does not always equal achievement. Motion does not always mean advancement. Sometimes people become so focused on doing many things that they lose sight of the few things that are truly important. A relaxed woman understands this principle. She knows that her life is too valuable to be consumed by unnecessary demands. She does not allow busyness to become her identity. Instead, she learns to distinguish between what is important and what is merely urgent. She understands that not every opportunity deserves her attention, not every request requires her acceptance, and not every expectation should influence her decisions. One of the reasons many women become overwhelmed is because they carry responsibilities that do not belong to them. They feel obligated to solve everyone's problems, fix everyone's mistakes, and meet everyone's expectations. While serving others is noble, constantly neglecting yourself in the process is unhealthy. A woman who tries to carry every burden eventually discovers that she cannot sustain that lifestyle without paying a price emotionally, mentally, and physically. Wisdom teaches a woman that she cannot pour from an empty vessel. Before she can effectively help others, she must learn how to care for herself. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. Just as a vehicle requires fuel to continue moving, a woman requires rest, renewal, and personal growth to continue fulfilling her purpose effectively. Many people admire women who appear to do everything. They applaud their endurance, praise their sacrifices, and celebrate their productivity. Yet behind the applause there is often fatigue, frustration, and burnout. External success means very little if it is achieved at the expense of internal peace. What good is a full schedule if your spirit is exhausted? What good is constant productivity if you have lost your joy? A woman must learn that her identity is greater than her performance. She is more than her job title. She is more than her accomplishments. She is more than the roles she fulfills. Whether she is leading a company, raising a family, pursuing a dream, or navigating a season of transition, her value remains constant. Circumstances may change, responsibilities may increase or decrease, but her worth does not fluctuate with her activity. When a woman understands this truth, she gains freedom. She no longer feels pressured to prove herself through constant work. She no longer compares her pace to someone else's pace. She stops measuring her life according to unrealistic standards. Instead, she begins making decisions based on purpose rather than pressure. This freedom allows her to embrace balance. She learns that rest is productive when it restores her strength. She understands that reflection is valuable because it provides clarity. She recognizes that silence can be as important as action because wisdom often grows in moments of stillness. Rather than rushing through life, she becomes intentional about how she invests her time, energy, and attention. The most fulfilled women are not necessarily the busiest women. They are the women who understand what truly matters. They know when to work and when to rest. They know when to say yes and when to say no. They know how to pursue excellence without becoming enslaved by expectations. Most importantly, they understand that their worth is not tied to their workload. A woman's value cannot be measured by her calendar, her responsibilities, or her level of activity. Her value comes from who she is, not merely what she does. The moment she embraces this truth, she begins to live differently. She stops chasing validation through busyness and starts living with confidence, balance, and peace. And when she learns that her worth exists independently of her performance, she discovers a level of freedom that no amount of achievement can ever provide. One of the greatest discoveries a woman can make is understanding that pressure is a part of life. But living under the control of pressure is a choice. Every woman will face demands, responsibilities, challenges, deadlines, disappointments, and unexpected situations. No one is exempt from these realities. The question is not whether pressure will appear. The question is whether pressure will become the master of your life or whether you will learn to master it. Many women spend their lives reacting to pressure instead of managing it. The moment a challenge appears, fear takes over. When responsibilities increase, anxiety begins to grow. When plans change unexpectedly, frustration rises. Over time, this pattern creates emotional exhaustion because the woman is allowing external circumstances to dictate her internal condition. A relaxed woman understands an important principle. Pressure is an external force, but peace is an internal decision. She recognizes that while she may not always control what happens around her, she can learn to control how she responds to what happens around her. This understanding transforms the way she approaches life. Consider a ship traveling across the ocean. The water surrounding the ship is not the real danger. The danger begins when the water gets inside the ship. In the same way, problems around you are not always what sink you. What damages you is allowing those problems to enter your thoughts, dominate your emotions, and control your decisions. A wise woman learns how to face challenges without allowing those challenges to invade her peace. One reason pressure becomes overwhelming is because many women attempt to solve tomorrow's problems today. They spend hours worrying about situations that have not happened and may never happen. They imagine negative outcomes, create worst-case scenarios, and mentally rehearse failures before any actual problem exists. This habit drains emotional energy and creates stress that serves no productive purpose. A relaxed woman learns to focus on what is real instead of what is imagined. She deals with today's responsibilities while preparing wisely for the future. She understands that worry and preparation are not the same thing. Preparation creates solutions. Worry creates exhaustion. Preparation strengthens confidence. Worry weakens it. Therefore, she chooses action over anxiety whenever possible. Another important lesson is understanding that not every problem deserves the same level of attention. Many women become overwhelmed because they treat every issue as if it were a crisis. A minor inconvenience receives the same emotional response as a major challenge. As a result, they live in a constant state of tension. A woman who has learned to manage pressure develops perspective. She evaluates situations carefully before reacting emotionally. She asks herself whether the issue will matter next week, next month, or next year. This habit helps her conserve emotional energy for the challenges that truly require her attention. Wisdom allows her to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. Managing pressure also requires emotional discipline. Feelings are powerful, but they should never become rulers. Emotions are valuable indicators, yet they are not always reliable decision makers. A woman who allows every emotion to determine her actions will often find herself moving from one extreme to another. A relaxed woman acknowledges her feelings without surrendering control to them. She may feel afraid, but she refuses to let fear make her decisions. She may feel frustrated, but she chooses patience. She may feel uncertain, but she continues moving forward with wisdom and confidence. This ability to govern emotions rather than be governed by them is one of the greatest signs of maturity. Many women also experience pressure because they are carrying burdens that do not belong to them. They assume responsibility for the choices of other people. They attempt to manage situations that are beyond their authority. They spend valuable energy worrying about things they cannot change. Eventually, this creates unnecessary stress and frustration. A relaxed woman understands the importance of focusing on her area of responsibility. She knows the difference between concern and control. She cares deeply about people and situations, but she does not allow herself to become consumed by things she cannot influence. This wisdom creates freedom because it prevents her from wasting energy on impossible assignments. Pressure can also become a teacher when approached correctly. Challenges often reveal strengths that would otherwise remain hidden. Difficult moments develop patience, resilience, wisdom, and character. A woman who learns to manage pressure effectively begins to see challenges differently. Instead of viewing every obstacle as a threat, she begins to view obstacles as opportunities for growth. This perspective changes everything. Rather than asking, "Why is this happening to me?" she begins asking, "What can this teach me?" Instead of focusing only on the difficulty, she focuses on the development that can emerge from the difficulty. This mindset transforms pressure from an enemy into a tool for personal growth. The truth is that life will never be completely free of pressure. Responsibilities will continue. Challenges will arise. Unexpected situations will occur. But a woman does not have to become a prisoner of these realities. She can learn to think clearly in difficult moments, remain calm during uncertainty, and make wise decisions under stress. The strongest women are not those who have no pressure. They are the women who have learned how to remain peaceful while facing pressure. They understand that external circumstances do not have the final authority over their lives. Their thoughts, attitudes, and responses matter more than the situation itself. When a woman learns to control pressure instead of being controlled by it, she gains a level of confidence that cannot be shaken by temporary challenges. She discovers that true strength is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to maintain stability in the midst of difficulty. That is the power of a relaxed woman. She does not deny pressure exists. She simply refuses to allow it to rule her life. One of the most powerful skills a woman can develop is the ability to establish healthy boundaries and clear priorities. Without these two principles, life can quickly become overwhelming. Many women experience unnecessary stress not because they lack strength, intelligence, or capability, but because they have never learned how to protect their time, energy, and focus. They try to be available for everyone, respond to every request, solve every problem, and meet every expectation. Over time, this creates a lifestyle of constant pressure and exhaustion. A relaxed woman understands that every human being has limits. Time is limited, energy is limited, attention is limited. Because these resources are valuable, they must be managed wisely. She recognizes that saying yes to everything is not a sign of kindness or strength. In many cases, it is a sign of poor boundaries. Every time a woman says yes to something, she is automatically saying no to something else. Therefore, she learns to choose carefully where she invests her life. Many women struggle with boundaries because they fear disappointing people. They worry that saying no will make them appear selfish, unkind, or uncooperative. As a result, they agree to commitments they cannot sustain. They take on responsibilities they do not have the capacity to handle. They sacrifice their peace in an effort to gain approval from others. Eventually, resentment, frustration, and burnout begin to replace joy and fulfillment. A wise woman realizes that healthy boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out. They are guidelines that protect what matters most. Boundaries teach others how to respect your time, your values, your priorities, and your well-being. When boundaries are absent, confusion often takes their place. People may unintentionally demand more than you can give because they do not know where your limits exist. Establishing boundaries requires courage because not everyone will understand them. Some people become comfortable benefiting from your lack of limits. When you begin protecting your time and energy, they may resist the change. However, a relaxed woman understands that making healthy decisions is more important than gaining universal approval. She is willing to disappoint expectations if it means preserving her peace and fulfilling her purpose. Priorities are equally important because they provide direction. Without priorities, life becomes a series of reactions rather than intentional choices. Many women spend their days responding to urgent matters while neglecting important ones. They become so focused on what demands immediate attention that they lose sight of what truly deserves their attention. A relaxed woman understands the difference between activity and purpose. She knows that being busy does not necessarily mean being productive. A person can spend an entire day occupied and still accomplish very little of lasting significance. Therefore, she regularly asks herself important questions. What matters most in my life? What aligns with my values? What contributes to my growth? What supports my purpose? These questions help her remain focused on what is truly important. One reason priorities are essential is because distractions are everywhere. Every day presents countless opportunities to invest time in things that may seem urgent, but are ultimately unimportant. Social pressures, unrealistic expectations, unnecessary commitments, and constant demands can easily pull a woman away from her most meaningful goals. Without clear priorities, she may spend years pursuing things that add little value to her life. A woman with strong priorities understands that not every opportunity is her opportunity. Just because she can do something does not mean she should do it. Just because someone asks for her help does not automatically mean she is responsible for the task. This wisdom allows her to conserve energy for the assignments that genuinely belong to her. Healthy boundaries and priorities also protect emotional well-being. Many women carry stress that originates not from major life challenges, but from overcommitment. They are stretched so thin trying to satisfy everyone that they have little energy left for themselves. Their schedules become crowded, their minds become cluttered, and their peace gradually disappears. A relaxed woman recognizes the importance of protecting her emotional reserves. She understands that every commitment carries a cost. Every responsibility requires energy. Therefore, she evaluates opportunities carefully rather than accepting them automatically. She understands that every yes must be intentional. Another important benefit of boundaries is that they create space for rest and renewal. Many women believe rest should happen only after every task is completed. Unfortunately, that moment rarely arrives. There will always be another responsibility, another request, another challenge, and another obligation. If a woman waits until everything is finished before caring for herself, she may never experience true restoration. A wise woman intentionally creates space in her life for reflection, renewal, and personal growth. She understands that rest is not wasted time. It is an investment in future effectiveness. By protecting time for herself, she strengthens her ability to serve others without becoming depleted. Boundaries and priorities are ultimately acts of wisdom. They are not signs of weakness, selfishness, or indifference. They are evidence that a woman understands her value and her purpose. She recognizes that her life is too important to be governed by every demand and every expectation. Instead, she chooses to live intentionally. The most peaceful women are not necessarily those with the fewest responsibilities. Often, they are the women who have learned which responsibilities truly matter. They know what deserves their attention and what does not. They know when to engage and when to step back. They know when to serve and when to rest. Because of this clarity, they experience a level of freedom that many people never discover. When a woman learns the power of boundaries and priorities, she gains control over her life instead of allowing life to control her. She becomes more focused, more effective, and more fulfilled. Most importantly, she protects her peace while pursuing her purpose, and that is one of the greatest gifts she can give herself. One of the greatest transformations that can occur in a woman's life is moving from a life driven by panic to a life guided by purpose. Many women spend years reacting to circumstances instead of intentionally directing their lives. They rush from one responsibility to another, responding to problems, meeting demands, handling emergencies, and trying to keep up with expectations. As a result, they often feel as though life is happening to them rather than through them. Their days become filled with activity, yet they struggle to experience fulfillment because they are living under the pressure of urgency rather than the guidance of purpose. A relaxed woman understands that purpose and panic produce completely different outcomes. Panic creates confusion, fear, impulsive decisions, and emotional exhaustion. Purpose creates clarity, direction, confidence, and stability. When a woman is driven by panic, she often feels rushed, even when there is no real emergency. She makes decisions based on fear instead of wisdom. She becomes overly concerned with immediate problems while losing sight of long-term goals. Her emotions constantly fluctuate because her focus is controlled by circumstances. Purpose changes this entire experience. Purpose acts like a compass. It provides direction even when the path becomes difficult. A woman who understands her purpose does not become distracted by every challenge or discouraged by every setback. She knows where she is going, and that knowledge gives her confidence during uncertain seasons. Many women experience stress because they have never paused long enough to determine what truly matters to them. They have inherited expectations from family, society, friends, and culture without carefully examining whether those expectations align with their own values and calling. As a result, they spend years pursuing goals that do not genuinely fulfill them. They achieve success according to other people's standards while feeling empty inside. A relaxed woman understands that fulfillment comes from alignment. When her actions align with her values and her purpose, she experiences a sense of meaning that external achievements alone cannot provide. She is no longer motivated solely by comparison, competition, or approval. Instead, she is motivated by the desire to become the person she was created to be and to contribute something meaningful to the world around her. Purpose also helps a woman navigate difficult seasons. Challenges become easier to endure when there is a meaningful reason behind the journey. A woman who lacks purpose often views obstacles as reasons to quit. A woman who understands her purpose sees obstacles as part of the process. She recognizes that growth often occurs during difficult moments. Because her vision is larger than her current discomfort, she continues moving forward even when circumstances are not ideal. Living from purpose requires intentionality. It means making choices based on long-term significance rather than short-term emotions. Many people make decisions according to how they feel in a particular moment. While emotions are important, they are not always reliable guides. Feelings change quickly. Purpose provides consistency. It allows a woman to remain focused even when motivation fluctuates. A woman who lives from purpose understands that not every opportunity deserves her attention. She does not chase every trend, pursue every possibility, or follow every suggestion. She evaluates opportunities according to whether they align with her goals and values. This discipline protects her from becoming distracted by activities that consume energy without producing meaningful results. Another benefit of purpose is that it reduces unnecessary comparison. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of peace. Many women spend valuable time measuring their progress against the lives of others. They compare careers, relationships, achievements, appearances, and lifestyles. This habit often creates insecurity and dissatisfaction because there will always be someone who appears to be doing better in some area of life. A woman who understands her purpose is less vulnerable to comparison because she is focused on her own journey. She recognizes that every person has a unique path, unique challenges, and unique assignments. Instead of competing with others, she concentrates on becoming the best version of herself. This mindset creates freedom because it shifts attention away from external validation and toward personal growth. Purpose also influences how a woman responds to failure. When panic governs life, failure often feels devastating because identity becomes attached to performance. A single setback can create overwhelming discouragement. However, when purpose governs life, failure becomes a learning experience rather than a final destination. A purposeful woman understands that mistakes do not define her. They simply provide opportunities for growth, wisdom, and improvement. One of the most remarkable qualities of a woman who lives from purpose is her stability. She does not allow every piece of bad news to destroy her confidence. She does not allow every criticism to alter her direction. She does not allow temporary difficulties to determine her future. Because she understands who she is and what she is pursuing, she remains grounded even during uncertain times. This does not mean she never experiences fear or challenges. It simply means those experiences do not control her. She feels pressure, but she is not governed by it. She encounters obstacles, but she is not defeated by them. She faces uncertainty, but she continues moving forward with faith and confidence because her life is anchored in something greater than temporary circumstances. The most fulfilled women are not necessarily those with the easiest lives. They are often women who have discovered a clear sense of purpose and chosen to live according to it. Purpose gives meaning to effort, direction to decisions, and strength during adversity. It transforms ordinary living into intentional living. A relaxed woman understands that life is too valuable to be spent reacting to every crisis and chasing every expectation. She chooses to live with vision rather than confusion, with clarity rather than chaos, and with purpose rather than panic. As a result, she experiences a deeper level of peace, confidence, and fulfillment that remains steady even when circumstances around her change. That is the power of living from purpose. It allows a woman not merely to survive life, but to lead it with wisdom, strength, and grace.